everybody. Hey, Sushi Crew. Happy Sunday evening to you. I'm sorry this is last minute. I've kind of been stuck on something all day, and I think it's worthy of discussion. And who better to discuss it with than you all? So I appreciate you joining me. I'm going to go ahead and set up some video clips for you, and we're going to watch them together. I will give you the basic layout of the story, but I think it's best to hear it from first person. And we're lucky that we have that. There's a young woman named Olivia on TikTok. Her account is, oh my gosh. Hold on one second. I'm terrible. I wrote notes and I abbreviated it. And I told myself I didn't even need that because, well, Chronicles of Olivia. And she deserves a lot of credit because she has been, I would say, dug deep into this case. She's done a lot of local work, and this is a big deal. So some of you know that in my community post today on YouTube, in my community tab, I did post one of these video links. I'm going to go ahead and play it again, so just bear with me. But she and a group of people, Olivia and a group of people, were out in the Mayakahatchee Reserve where they found Brian's body, and they found a water bottle. And upon further investigation, it was very close resemblance, if not identical, to the one that Gabby Petito had posted in some pictures. It was in the van. She's carrying it along with some other items. And she called Northport Police, and I'll let her tell you in her own words from there. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you guys is because I don't want to criticize law enforcement in this case. However, there have been, I keep calling them missteps. There seems to be a lot of missteps along the way. And I am wondering if that's because there is a lack of communication between the FBI and Northport Police Department. And I think that might be one of the bigger problems in this case. I don't know why they're not communicating. I saw a video clip of Josh Taylor, who is the PIO for Northport Police Department. So he's their spokesperson. And he was saying, they were talking about inconsistencies between what Stephen Bertolino, the attorney for the laundry, says about things and what the police have said. And one of the very specific instances that was given was that Stephen Bertolino claimed that he notified the FBI, or he notified authorities, I believe is his choice of words, that Brian Laundrie was missing right when Roberta and Chris told him, which according to him was Wednesday. And that he thought that the police department didn't do anything till Friday because that was kind of how the process worked. And Josh Taylor, the PIO for Northport PD, says, no. I was in the room on Friday when that call came in. He's like, we didn't know anything about it. So then Josh proceeds to say, well, I mean, maybe he had a discussion with the FBI. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards the FBI took a lead in this, and I don't know if they cut Northport out of a lot of it, or there just wasn't good communication, because at one time there were 3 places they were dealing with. It was the Grand Tetons, where Gabby Petito was ultimately discovered murdered. If it was because up in New York, her mom, Nicole Schmidt, Gabby Petito's mom, Nicole Schmidt, is trying to report her missing desperately and doesn't know what to do. And then you have Joe Petito down in Northport rolling up to the laundry home on September 10th saying, where's my daughter, and seeing his daughter's van in the driveway and being handed a card, like, call our attorney, and then the police are called. So there's all these things going on at the same time, and then Brian goes missing, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if it's logistics or what, but I think a lot of this is miscommunication, or that's where I was earlier today. Earlier today, I was at miscommunication. In the present moment, I'm kind of banging my head on my desk thinking, what the hell is going on? Because when you hear this, if you're hearing it for the first time, you're probably going to be shaking your head like I am. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play a series of clips. And I have to tell you, I need to flip over to the chat because I am not 100% certain if I have to mute myself or not. So I'm asking you very kindly to be patient with me and work with me. And when I start this clip, if you can't hear it or if there's feedback, let me know immediately and I will take care of it. Okay, so here we go. Here's clip 1.
Guys, so we just came back from the reserve. We were there for about 2 hours. We found the exact location where Chris Laundrie and Roberta found Brian's dry bag. Right next to the dry bag is a huge orange spray painted location that smelled like it was putrid. It was sprayed right next, like a couple feet away from where the dry bag was found. So we're assuming remains were found there. A couple feet away, deep in the grass, I found a water bottle. I'm not sure if this is Brian Laundrie's water bottle. I will show you a picture. I have not had time to look at his Instagram or the pictures of the back of their van, to see if this is the same water bottle, but I just got service now, so I'm gonna go look, but I'll show you the picture of the water bottle. Here's the water bottle. It's very zen-like. It said Seattle, Washington on it. It's from REI. I'm gonna show you a video of the water bottle. Thanks in here. There's a water bottle right here. Whoa, I just found something. Again, this could be nothing, but I found this several yards away from where his remains were found, near the white dry bag that his father found. And this was in the grass, so it's potential that maybe law enforcement missed this, or it could be just a random person's water bottle. Again, it just seems kind of suspicious, but I'm gonna go see if there's pictures of this somewhere on the internet. Maybe it's on Gabby's or Brian's Instagram. Maybe you guys can help look. Got confirmation that the water bottle that I found today is Gabby Petito's, and it's in my car right now. I have the water bottle because I told the police officers, I said, like, this could be evidence. It's right next to where Brian's remains were and where his dry bag was found. And they didn't care at all. Like, literally, they wanted us to throw it away. And I'm glad I kept it. I'm so glad I kept the water bottle, because something was telling me that it wasn't just like a random person's water bottle. It was something much more. I'm shaking right now. I'm literally shaking. Here is the same water bottle that was in the back of her van. And what's even more screwed up is that I found socks next to this water bottle, like 2 black socks, like men's ankle socks. And we found a bunch of bones. And it's insane, because, like, I have been scouring this area of Myakkahatchee Creek for, like, miles with Andra and Jonathan. Never once did we find a single bone. But within literally like a 200 feet radius of where the dry bag was found, we find a ton of bones, the water bottle, and 2 socks. This is sketchy. And the police go over there, they don't even care. They only took the bones, but everything else, they were just like, yeah, whatever, like, throw it away. I am so glad. And I have Gabby's water bottle right here. It's in here somewhere. This is her water bottle. I'm shook.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Like I said, we didn't know if it was something, but we better be safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everything. What?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Thank you.
So they're not taking the water bottle. Let's see your hand.
That you're releasing it to me.
Okay. Now, we also want to make a request that once you release this property, that it goes to the Petito family or the Schmidt family if they so want it.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right, here is your this down. And
Yeah, please make sure the notes are on there. We want to make sure that if this is truly Gabby's property, we want to make sure it gets back to her family. If they don't want it, that's fine.
you'll be the first contact, and Olivia will be the first contact once it comes up to be released, and then she'll be able to decide what she wants to do from
Okay,
there.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hold on to this, which is just a copy of the receipt.
All right.
Alrighty, y'all.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Olivia found the water bottle out at the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. We had notified the law enforcement. They came out there. They collected some bones. We asked them if they would collect the water bottle. They said they did not want to collect the water bottle and that we could throw it away. We had no internet service out there. We couldn't even find out if it truly, in fact, was related to the case at all. But when we did, we have reached out to the Petito family to see if they would like Gabby's water bottle returned to them.
Okay, so there you go. I find this concerning. I'm glad that Olivia, along with the other TikTok group, I wish I could call them something else, but I'm just going to say Gabby Petito supporters and people that have a deep vested interest in this case, took it upon themselves to say, we're not going to accept that you're not taking this from the scene. We are going to drive it up to you, and you will accept it. I'm not sure if I would have believed the nonchalance of Northport Police Department walking away down the trail as those people stood in the reserve in the spot where Brian was found, in the spot, there's spray paint on the ground, in the spot where the dry bag was found, and this water bottle's laying there, and there's other bones, and the police take the bones, but they don't take the water bottle. So I'll tell you something else. And this goes against my better judgment, but I know that some of you have seen it, so I'm just going to put it on the table for discussion. There's another video where it's too long to play, but there is another video where Olivia talks about a phone call that she received from another person that tends to go out and look. And you know, the reserve is open now, so there's a lot of people walking around. And he claims that he found a noose out there. and that it was the same kind of response from Northport. So I don't know if this gentleman really called the cops. I don't know, or the cops. Did he really call the cops? Sound like a goober. Did he really call Northport? Or is this just a hokey story? But it seems to me that, today is Sunday. If on Sunday morning at 8 a.m., Olivia and these people walked 15 minutes into the reserve and found these things and know they're in the right place because they're looking at maps, they're looking at the spray paint, they're looking at the few photos we have, matching up the terrain and finding this water bottle, what is going on? And then when they call, the police say, we'll take the bones, but we're not going to take the water bottle. That's weird. Okay, Marilyn Landis, good to know. They said it was a foot swing, so we're talking about the rope that was found. So that's good to know. Thank you for that. Yeah, okay, it was for a rope swing. So my apologies. Sometimes I get behind when I'm trying to pull videos and load them up, and it's not an excuse, and I depend on you guys, so thank you. Yes, Sherry in Central Virginia. Shout it. Shout it. That wasn't a news. It was a foot swing. So good. I cleared that up. Yay. I'm glad I brought it up. Yeah. So Firewife 911 is saying those bones look like deer. The vertebrae length is longer than human. And it's entirely possible. I guess obviously it's it's an open crime scene. Like it's not a crime scene anymore. It's the scene of a death. But I find it fascinating that there's people out there walking around picking up things and noticing things. I find it concerning. I just do. I'll go over to Twitter and show you what one of the Fox reporters is saying about this. But in the meantime, I can show you that at the same time. Let me just share my screen real quick and do this. I had asked you guys in the beginning if there were a soundtrack to this case other than Dirty Laundry, what songs would be on it, and I got some good answers. Hi, Jelly Bean. It's nice to see you. So if you want to add those in the chat, I might have a little project for you, and it could be fun. Just saying. Let me pull up this. And okay, let me just make sure. I gotta flip over here, make sure you guys can see this. We got a lot of stuff running at the same time. So what we're looking at here is a picture that Michael Ruiz posted. And he said, this is the most detailed picture I have from this morning of the bottle. He was in communication with Olivia. Okay, I'm sorry. I just got distracted, and I'm not going to look at the chat again for a few minutes, but I lost it. Whoever posted Pixies, one of my favorite bands ever. I wanted to grow up and be Kim Deal. So Frank Black Francis. Yeah, you got my attention with that one. All right. Not going to look there anymore, though. Not going to look. All right. So he says, let's see, this is the most detailed picture I have from this morning of the bottle. And then the thread reads like this. He says, update from Taylor. And when he says Taylor, he is referring to Josh Taylor. And in quotes, earlier today, I was told there were some reports that turned out to be nothing. If something was found after that, I don't know. Again, the question about possible materials found should be directed to the FBI as it is their case. So this is Josh Taylor, the public information officer from Northport Police Department, telling Michael Ruiz, this is his statement, earlier today I was told there were some reports that turned out to be nothing. If something was found after that, I don't know. Again, the question about possible materials found should be directed to the FBI as it is their case. So now Northport Police Department is deferring to the FBI. And I see some people could say, well, you know, it's this back and forth thing. But maybe on the positive side, this is good. This is a general acceptance that they are not informed enough to answer some of these questions, and they need to acknowledge that this is the FBI's case. Then Michael goes on to say he sent in an inquiry to the FBI, and he's not had a response. He posted around, I think it was 4:30 this afternoon, that Olivia just confirmed that she's given the bottle to authorities. Some people are asking if there were teeth marks on the bottle. I'm sure there are. It's probably from animals. But, well, I was going to go on to something else, but I'm going to not take you on my ADD journey, and I'm just going to chill out here in the moment. I tend to do that sometimes and have to remind myself that you don't need to be tortured in the brain like I am. So as long as we're here and we're talking about this particular water bottle, one of the things, I'm going to pop back in the chat, one of the things that concern me about law enforcement not taking the bottle is we don't know Brian's manner or cause of death, right? And his bones have been sent to, or were sent to, a forensic anthropologist because they are trying to determine some things. What if, the heavy speculation, and not stereotypical for a male, but what if he walked in the reserve to die and he took some kind of pills or poison? And what if he walked into the reserve to die and he took some sort of pills or poison and he drank it out of Gabby's bottle, and it really is Gabby's bottle? Isn't that evidence? Isn't that evidence? Wouldn't that be important? I don't think police officers that respond to a call know enough about what's going on to discount something like this. Yes, it could just be extraneous litter. It could be another coincidence. It seems to be happening in this case, which I'm having a very hard time with. Of course, I accept that Brian is dead. I'm not that person. But the coincidences are too much for me. I'm having a very hard time with it. And I'm not trying to downplay a police officer, but I'm just saying, if something like this is found and we kind of say, oh, well, I mean, this is not a bottle that you purchase at 7-Eleven, like a disposable bottle, right? It's one of those, I forgot what you call them, but like Nylene bottles or something like that. It's very specific. It's not an Evian bottle laying on the ground, or Zephyr Hills, or whatever brand it is that you drink. You know, Maker's Mark, or not Maker's Mark, but maybe, I don't know. Is that the Sam's brand? I can't remember. But anyway, Members Mark, maybe. I think Maker's Mark is like alcohol. I don't know. Anyway, this particular bottle, and then we can see the same bottle in the back of the van. That happened very quickly, that people were making these correlations. And then the bottle is seen in a photo where Gabby has it like hanging off of her handbag, or her like, I don't know, like tote bag type of thing. So is a police officer that responds to a call like this, is he qualified to make that decision that that shouldn't be put in an evidence bag? And this is where I'm going to get a little mean. See, now I'm trying to hold myself back from being mean. But no, I'm going to get a little mean. Is it that much for you? Is it just too troubling for you to get a Ziploc bag and a pair of gloves and pick it up and walk away? Is that too much of a problem? I mean, is Northport like just so busy. So busy. You can't pick up a bottle and put it in a bag and take it back down and hand it to somebody in charge. And then later, like maybe they come by and say, this is nothing. This is trash or whatever. So, what's the big deal? Is that ego? Did you not want to bring trash back to the police station? I don't think they were qualified to make that call. That's just me. That's just me. I need to see what you guys are saying. Yeah. Costa the Crust. I have a friend. He's Greek. His name is Kostas. You say, WTF, totally agree about the bottle. How does the crime scene have the crime scene text look over that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Emily, you say, right. I mean, come on. Hey there, Connie, my one flippin' life. Let's see. Firewife 911 says the person didn't touch the bottle. She used a plastic bag to pick it up. Okay, good. You're like scoring all the points tonight. So thank you for that. I didn't see that. I saw the picture of it with her, with it in her hand, but I can see where there could have been something behind it. I have to go back and look, but I totally trust you. And then when she's at the police station, she's holding it in a piece of paper. So let's see. The weird mom. REI is not cheap. Yes, this bottle was apparently sold at the REI co-op in Seattle. That's what I heard. I don't know 100%. But yeah, we have an REI store near us. I've been in there as a co-op. It's not, they're not inexpensive. And so you say they're not cheap. Chances are that water bottle is upward of 30 some odd bucks, and it's likely one of the cheapest items in the store. It is equivalent to a Campers candy store or Toys R Us. Yeah. Some of that stuff makes Yeti look like cheap. Moonlight View. I mean, this is seeing you in Trisha's chat on Web Sleuths. This is a lot for you to say, and you're saying crappy police work. I'll go. As an officer of the court, it is unacceptable behavior, Amy. It is. But here's the thing. How troubling was it for them to put Northport Police Department, to put on a glove, get a bag? Did they not want to walk back to the car? Did they not know what they were looking for? How troubling was it to pick it up and put it in a bag and put a tag on it? They don't have to go analyze it. That's not their job. Do they not want to write a report? Like, what is going on, and why are they empowered to make those decisions? Yep, here we go. Sue Legate. Got to take pictures, take a statement, file a report, etc. That better not be the reason. Honestly, listen to me. That better not be the reason. I'm going to go down there and show them how it's done. I'm not a police officer. I have no control over this, but in my own little mind, that better not be the reason, because this is, in my opinion, potential gross negligence. And if this is what's been going on the entire time, somebody has some explaining to do. Yeah, big time. Peekaboo Cockatiel, you say you 100% agree about the bottle. JD, it is unacceptable. Todd, you think it was planted. I honestly, Todd, I am super skeptical about a lot of things. I really don't think it is. I don't. Yeah, they also should have photos of where the bottle was laying. Peekaboo Cocktail. I don't know if they took them when they came out or not. There wasn't a lot of footage of the police there. Now, there may be some other places she may be releasing more photo later. I do know, I'm going to get her channel. Apparently, I didn't know this. Apparently, Olivia has a YouTube channel. So if I find the link to it, I will drop it over there. If somebody has it, has that link, you can email it to me. My email in here. I would deeply appreciate it. But I want to kind of take a look at it myself before I post. I'm just really careful about that. But I think, she's all on the up and up. I do. Lynn Levy, you say, yep, it is evidence. Kimberly H, he could have drank poison. If we're talking about somebody that walked into the woods to potentially take their own life, it's not common for men to do that. But I have my own opinions about blah, 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 blah. I have my own opinions about Brian. And I think he's a weak individual. I think he's a vain individual. I think he loves himself a lot. And I think if that's what he did, it was a hard decision to make. And one of the reasons that you don't see this, and this is how it goes, and most of you know this, women will tend to take pills or something like that. They don't want to leave a mess. And they want to be presentable in some way. Men tend not to care about that as much. So, and that's not 100% of the time. It's just kind of like statistically how it's described. So it would not be the number one first guess that Brian would do this that way. But my whole point is the bottle is important. So Laura Phillips says it's like he just threw stuff everywhere. Or, he was all together and animals came in and, drug it out. So I did see some pictures of bones. I'm not an expert on bones by any, like when you start talking about the size and stuff of especially things like vertebrae, which is what those appear to be. And somebody said previously in the chat that they were lengthwise too long to be human vertebrae. I don't know, but yeah, there were bones. Hey there, Mama Mia. It's nice to see you. It's been a hot minute. This is a really good point, Kat Stallsworth. You're saying it feels petulant that maybe they are feeling like it's not my job because it's an FBI case. So, yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you for that. That takes us back to the weird press conference that Northport Police Department had with Sarasota County Sheriff's Office saying, patting each other on the back, giving them the attaboys, and everybody watching, including the reporters at the scene. There's a reporter at the press conference, and he literally says when it's over, "Is this a press conference?" And he says it with that voice inflection because it was that strange. And I think the reason that they did that those, that they held that press conference is because they felt like they were being overshadowed for their work. And the FBI did the press conference, and I don't know. I think there's a power struggle. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a attaboy. I did it. You did it. Who takes credit? Who gets the medal? Who gets recognized thing? And maybe they feel slighted by the FBI, and not that it's right, but they're acting in an unprofessional manner. It's not my job. It's the FBI's case. So, oh my gosh, Ivy, me, you're eating a caramel apple. That sounds delicious. I don't even like sweets, but there's something about a sour apple with like caramel that sounds delicious. And a little jelly. Let's see. Lisa Irwin again, then back to the poison. Yeah. Well, sure. I'm sure there's more, Suligate. There's more to it than putting it in a bag. But for those officers, I mean, that's their job, okay? So if they're not the people that bag it, then they should call somebody to bag it. I don't know. I mean, I'm telling them how to do their job. I understand that. I do. I mean, maybe they did call and said they found this neoprene bottle out here. It's near the laundry scene. Do you want to send somebody out here to collect it? And it was like, no, we've got what we need. Maybe that's the answer they got. To me, it just seems strange, and I don't like it. I always think that, like, you can take it down there and decide that it's useless later, but what have you. Let's see. Too many coincidences in this case and too many oopsies. That's from, is it Tali L? I agree with you. I mean, that's how it appears to be. Now, I will say this. We're missing, I was thinking earlier today, we're missing bits of information that would help us figure this out. But if we're being honest, we're missing huge chunks. And we shouldn't expect to get the play-by-play at the end of every day of every piece of information they have. It's an active case. But because we're missing those chunks, like these big nuggets of information, it does appear a little hanky. You know, how could it not? I won't read that because I can't say that word really. But she says, I mean, you have your dogs in a bag. It's not that much trouble. I have trouble with potty words. Oh no, I'm weird. So let's see. What else? Okay, so Firewife 911, you say definitely shady and lazy police work. That's kind of how it appears to me, and I'm trying to be okay with it, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't like it. Send Grady Judd over there. Oh, Grady Judd. You know, he made a statement a couple of weeks ago. So Grady Judd, for those of you that don't know, is an infamous Florida sheriff. He's out of Polk County, Florida. He's very outspoken. When he holds press conferences, it is a production of sorts on a grand scheme. He's very informative, but when I tell you that he has props, he has props. He'll have a cutout of the perpetrator. He has maps. He shakes things. He uses a varying tone of voice to communicate when he's trying to communicate. Extremely theatrical, but in a kind of like good old boy, like I'm a cop way. And he allows his department to run like that too, because they do a lot of parody cartoons on their Facebook page about apprehending subjects, like almost in a digital storytelling format. So anyway, a couple of weeks ago, Grady Judd out of Polk County, Florida, the sheriff, made a statement. It was something along the lines of, if Brian was in Polk County, he would have found a way to get him in a room. So, you know, I'm sure he has a lot more to say about this. I'd love to be a fly on the wall when he's drinking a beer at the bar after work, or, you know, I'm not saying he does. He's sipping a nice tea on the porch with his buddies. I don't know. But regardless of it, I want to be that little weirdo listening to that conversation, and I will admit it. So I would love to hear that conversation. So let's see. Well, see, I don't know, Flyer B. You say, was it too far for them to walk back to their cars and get an evidence bag, or did they bring them but didn't pick up an item? I suppose, and I just thought about this, a lot of times, like, things, you know, come into my mind. Well, that's why I love talking to you guys, because you make me think. And I'm not up here as an expert on anything. All I'm doing is moderating a conversation, because I like to talk about true crime. And you guys bring things to the table that really make me think. And sometimes they hit me in the middle of discussing them. And that's what I love about discussion, because I might be in one frame of mind and you can say one or two things. And I'm like, wow, okay, my whole perspective just shifted completely. So when you say, was it too far for them to walk back to the cars and get an evidence bag, or did they bring them but didn't pick up the item? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know what the procedure for this is. Maybe the police officer doesn't pick up the item. Maybe he has to call for a crime scene investigator or a detective. Maybe they did that and the detective said no, or there was the crime scene investigator said we have everything we need. Maybe he didn't call the right person. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. Again, big nuggets. We don't know why they didn't want it, Lisa. We don't. Doreen Collins says, maybe the police thought they had all of Brydon's items and anything extra still doesn't change the case because we all know he did it. That's possible. I just want to know if it was, and that's a good comment. I just would like to know, because it's all about me. Not really. But I would really like to know if that was the officer's call to make, or if those two responding officers had to check in with somebody else. That decision was made by somebody else, because I don't think that should have been the officer's call if it was. And again, this is a lot of information that I don't know, so I'm kind of speaking in circles, but you know how that goes. So, Connie said, I was watching a channel with former police officers and they were saying the police there did not do a good job. Well, I think a lot of people have that opinion. That's why I said those missing nuggets of information would help. But Rose, you're saying that was Gabby's water bottle. She has it in her van. There are a couple of photos where Gabby has this, what appears to be identical bottle. Yes. And that is a huge coincidence. And you know how I feel about coincidences. So that's really what started this. I know that another creator did a video on this earlier today, and I was actually on the phone with, I don't know her screen name, so I can't see her name, but if you're here, you know who you are. I was talking with her, or chatting with, texting. And I said, well, that was my show. And you did it so well. And I can't do it again. But then I couldn't get out of my head. And I wanted to talk to, my friends here. I wanted to know what you guys were thinking. I wanted to know because I know it's just a water bottle. I get it. But to me, I think that it could be on the surface, it's just a water bottle, but it could be a lot more. And I want to know whose call it was, whose decision it was to leave it out there. That's important to me. And I'm a taxpayer in Florida. So there you go. Julie Bean says, your song is Bones by the Killers. Ooh, that's a good one too. That's a really good one. The Weird Mom. I really feel that exactly what the reason was is criminally lazy. Well, that's a phrase. Yep. I am way back. I am so behind in chat. So behind. Lynn Ostrom says, there has been sloppy police work since the beginning. I'm not going to argue with you there. I think there's been a lot of instances that we can list that appear to be sloppy. Maybe we don't. Maybe those nuggets of information we were missing would prove us different, but make us rethink everything. But right now, I can't. What are you saying, Markscape? They don't like having to admit a perfect noob finds stuff they were supposed to find, especially after the press conference the sheriff released about how good they are all at their job. LOL. Mark, you say the things that I'm afraid to say. So, okay. Yeah, I agree. All right. K.A. Mari was the one I was talking to about this bottle this afternoon. So she just sent me, she's like, my name. You guys, I have the worst time with your real names and your YouTube names and maybe your Facebook. Well, Facebook is pretty much who you are. Maybe a Twitter name, a Twitter handle. And my biggest fear is that I'll dox one of you. I don't want to do that. So my apologies. I'll tell you all, like, that's super quick. I'll tell you kind of a funny story. Thank God it's a funny story. This person had a good sense of humor. So there was this moderator I knew, and I talked to him outside of YouTube. So I knew his real name, and we would like do Facebook Messenger. We were Facebook friends, and I would be up on a panel, and I would see him down in the chat, and I'd be like, like, let's say his name is like, Tiki Bar 25. I would look down and I'd be like, oh, Tiki Bar 25. Hey, Chav, how you doing? How's Alabama tonight? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Amy? I'm like, oh my God. Thank God. It wasn't a big deal to him, but still. Let me see. You guys are talking about some interesting things. So Betty Smith is asking, did the Petito family ever get Gabby's stuff from the storage area the Laundrie family stole from her? I heard they hadn't. I wonder that too. I wonder where Gabby's things are. And then there's my girl right there. Carolyn Dillman says, my name is the same everywhere. I'm either Amy Fallon. I used to be Amy Warren. I got married in January. So my last name changed. But yeah, it's either my name or it's True Crime Sushi. But yeah, I get it. But some people are like, man in the boat with a tuna fish sandwich. And you're like, So. I'm sorry about the dead air there for a second. I had to cough. It's 9:23. I'm going to have this wrapped up by 10 because my good friends Kresha K. Easton and the L Mom are going to do a live. I'm waiting to get their link from them. I want to post it in chat, but they're going live at 10, and they had it pre-scheduled. And so when I decided to go impromptu live at 8:30 out of courtesy, not that I would take away from their live. I'm not saying that in any way, but it's just kind of how we all try to work together. I don't want to step on their toes, and they're going to be talking about some really interesting things. In fact, I'm going to try to pull it up while we're talking right now and see if I can find it. Kresha's channel, it's going to be on Kresha's channel tonight. They kind of alternate between each other's channels. They do collaboration, and they take turns hosting. And her channel is called Difficult, with the emphasis on cult, C-U-L-T, research, with the emphasis on search. So it's like difficult research, but then like cult search. It's a very clever name. So she is hosting tonight. Let's see. I'm going to go in there and grab the link for you and put it in chat. Let me just drop it in chat real quick. Copy link. I have to go back here. Back into my own chat. This is so crazy. There's got to be a better way to do this, but it's the way I know how to do it. So it's posted right there. Hopefully you'll see it. And then I see Mark commented again. I can't stand the fact a family plus a lawyer can fool the entire world and get by with murder even after undeniable evidence of being bad people. They deserve to be harassed forever. I don't like, you know what, Mark? I don't like the way the family behaved or handled things and their lack of communication with the Petitos and the Schmitz. To me, that is not even knowing all the circumstances. To me, that's unforgivable. I think they'll be haunted forever. I don't think anybody has to physically harass them. I think they will be haunted forever because of their poor choices. And that's my opinion. But I do respect Taurus as well. I do. I do. I want to tell you guys, I saw, it was on News Nation Now. So it was Ashley Banfield, and she had Mark Klass from Class Kids Foundation on. And I am so sorry, I cannot remember the other woman's name. But again, I just wrote it down. I'm going to drop that link in my description too. One of the questions that Ashley posed to Mark Klass and this other woman was, how do you, like, as a parent who has had a child murdered, how do you feel? Would it have been differently for you? And if so, good or bad or indifferent, if the person that murdered your child was found dead and not incarcerated? And so in Mark Klass's situation with Polly, the man that murdered Polly had received the death penalty, but 2 years ago the governor of California like rescinded that and changed it so that the guy is now, you know, a lifer in prison and has access to a lot of things and gets some attention and whatever. And the same thing happened with the murder of this other this other child. In fact, the mother that was on the panel, her child was taken from her and killed when her daughter was 5 years old. And she said on her daughter's 16th birthday, or what would have been her daughter's 16th birthday, she got this news, about the case. So 11 years later, she's dealing with it all the time. And Mark Klass and this woman both kind of agreed, like, if they could have chosen how things worked out, they would much rather have had the dead Brian Laundrie situation rather than dealing with all the legal stuff, because that gives that person the voice. And this is something that I took to heart today too. And I want to know how you guys feel about this. So one of the things this woman, the mother of this murdered child, said is, it's not fair that every time I see his name or his photo, it's next to my sweet daughter. They weren't friends. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have pictures taken together. Brian and Gabby are a little different because they were boyfriend and girlfriend. But I'm sure that her parents never want to see a picture of them together again. I can pretty much assume that. But I can't imagine every time you see your sweet baby girl on the screen who was murdered at 5 years old, it's right next to the monster that did it. And she said it's just been perpetuated because he's alive. He's still breathing air. She's like, I wish he would have just gone away. And I thought that was really, really, really interesting. So now you guys are talking about, I was going to bring this up. I'm going to go ahead and scroll. Let me see. Take off this little thing right here and move up here. I had posted this actually. That's this right here. And then I need to make sure that it's up on the screen. Okay. Claudia Kelly. I don't know how to say her name, her last name. I'm thinking it's Bazan or Bazan. Right. She's Fox News. The Laundrie family attorney tells me there will be no funeral for Brian Laundrie. His body will be cremated and given to his parents, Chris and Roberta, when the time comes. You guys, I didn't take a strong stance on this because to me it's delicate. For other people, it's not. I understand. I respect your opinions, but I basically said, I don't know how I feel about the decision, this decision. I think it was a difficult decision for them to make, no matter how we feel about Brian and his parents. I think his if they were to try to have a funeral, I think it would be an absolute, you know what show. I don't think they could have done that. Insightful One says a lot of people do celebrations of life now instead of traditional funerals. I mean, would anybody leave? I agree with you, by the way. I agree with you. But what I will say is I don't think they could have had a final resting place for Brian, because that grave or that area would have been desecrated. I mean, if they have people outside their house, put Brian's few little bones he has left under a marker and there won't be anything left. That's just my opinion. So, let's see. Moonlight View. Think about this, guys. When the officer asked Brianne, that's funny because that's what Joe Petito tells a story where he's asked if he liked Brian, and he said, "Oh, I called him Brianne." He's like, "But I did that to all of her boyfriends. If it was Robert, it'd be Roberta." So when the officer asked Brianne if he wanted water, he said no. Maybe he was worried he was going to be arrested and they could get his DNA from the bottle. Maybe there's more. Maybe. You guys, I muted myself because I'm losing my voice and I coughed. So I don't even know how long I've been muted. What I was saying was Annie Hall in New Zealand. Sorry, I'm a spaz. That's just who I am. My name is Amy. I'm True Crime Sushi. And I am scatterbrained sometimes. And I mute and I talk to myself. And it has to be pointed out to me. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's just another Post-it note I need. Or, maybe I need a producer here with a shot collar for me. I don't know. Anyway, what I was saying was Annie Hall, New Zealand, and it would be so hard to have extended family members at his funeral when most people think he's a murderer. Easier not to. Yeah, they didn't really have a lot of choice. They couldn't have put a headstone up. People would be all over that place. They'd be putting paper on it, trying to rub it, taking selfies in front of it, spray painting it. I don't know what, but there's just no way. And I can't even imagine trying to have a funeral. And of course it would be televised. And then people would say, wow, that's so disrespectful to the Petito Schmidt family. And, it's not like they call the press, but they really in this situation, they can't win for losing, if that makes sense. This is good. GJH. They don't even talk to a sister. I'm not having a funeral. It has nothing to do with religion. Yeah, I can understand that. I've talked to a lot of people that say the same thing. So I do understand that point of view. But they aren't talking, from our understanding, they aren't talking to his sister right now. And that brings up an interesting point. Do you think she's going to start talking soon? Because I feel like she's one of those people that wants to talk. She needs to talk. She's isolated right now. She doesn't have her mom and dad. She has her husband and her children. But same person, GJH. No one wants a funeral for him. Well, I beg to differ with you on that. And not to be contrary, but I think the press would have loved a funeral. I think the protesters would have loved a funeral. I mean, all of that, all of it. It makes, it keeps the story floating along, and people are profiting over the coverage of this case. So, yeah. Betty Smith says, I think Cassie told us all that she knows. I think she said a lot, but I hope one day that she can sit down with whoever she trusts, whether it be Brian Enton, whether it be, Keith Morrison, whoever, like I said, whoever it is, and she can tell us what he was like as a child, what she thinks may have happened, things that maybe she was scared to say before. So, Rabina Bonina. Off topic, but did you all notice Roberta's arm looks like she has lymphedema? Yeah. So my understanding is it's a burn, that she burned herself. Shelly Agua, I hope you're right. I bet the water bottle is being analyzed by the FBI lab. Now they cannot afford any more mistakes in this case. Even if it's nothing. Yeah. And then, see, we all think differently, and I love that. But Jenny Penny says, she doesn't really want to know. So, there you go. And that's fair. Carolyn, what are you saying? Carrie Lynn. Cassie was desperate, was mostly honest, but I think in that moment she would have said anything to get rid of the press. Well, yeah, and it wasn't press. Here's the other coincidence in this case. That was the same group of TikTokers that found the water bottle today. They were actually private citizens that had gone over to Cassie's house, and Cassie kind of had enough of them being outside and came out and agreed to talk to them. And they did a very good job interviewing her too. Let me see. What else are we saying? Mark. Possibly Cassie knew her brother was dead. She said she had lost her brother and then even her parents after they didn't speak to her anymore. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. It does. When you talk about the air quotes coincidences in this case, one of them that we're being asked to accept by law enforcement at this time is that law enforcement searched the Carlton Reserve, all 24,000 plus acres, thoroughly, the best they could for weeks on end with tremendous resources. And the day that the reserve opened, Roberta and Chris Laundrie walked in under 30 minutes from the entrance where the Northport entrance to the reserve, the Mayaka Reserve, or Mayakahatchee Reserve, and beelined it to his backpack, and the officer they were with on the other side of the path found Brian's remains. That's a huge coincidence. So it has to, don't want to be conspiracy theorists, don't want to talk about corruption I mean, I don't look forward to talking about that kind of stuff or in any circumstance, but is there a possibility that Roberta and Chris knew their son had taken his life out there, had seen it, seen the body, seen him, went back home, took the car, the search started, and they just said, well, they're going to find him, and then they didn't. And I see somebody else. Is this you, Jenny? Yep. She says, I feel like Brian's parents could have prevented this. I think I'm going to agree with you on this right here. And here's why. Because via the attorney, Stephen Bertolino, I have heard him say that Chris and Roberta, the day that Brian walked into the woods, knew at one point he said depressed, another point they said upset. But in any case, they had some parental concern about Brian's mood. And they said we should have stopped him, but we couldn't. He's a grown man. And the attorney, he says, they couldn't, he's a grown man. He can do what he wants. Well, I'm going to pull the brakes right here on that BS answer. Because here's the thing. And it didn't have to be done the second he walked out of the house. It didn't have to be done 10 minutes after he left the house. It could have been done an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours after he left that house. It could have been done when they went down to the gates and found the Mustang there with the first note on it from the police or the rangers or whoever is in charge in that area. The note on the car that said, can't leave this car here overnight. Could have been done then. Could have been done when they went back, then the parents leave a note for Brian. The parents leave a note on top of the other note. So this is Brian's little mailbox, now. Apparently this is his new address. Everybody corresponds with him there. So they leave him a note, and then they come back later and they're like, oh, our note's still here. We'll just take the car home. They could have done what I'm going to suggest at that point too. There were no time limits on what they could have done. And most of us in Florida, 99.9% of us know how this works in Florida. It's called the Baker Act. And you can call it any time and say, I need a wellness check on this person because they're not acting right. And the police come out and they have to visually ID the person, speak with them, and then they make, based on some questions, they make a decision about whether or not that person needs a mental health intervention. Then they are taken in a police car to a facility, a hospital, an emergency room, what have you, and they are held for 72 hours for observation. And I will tell you that if you're deeply concerned about your child and you feel like you can't control them and they're 20 years old and you can't stop them from walking out the door, then you pick up the phone. And by the way, you do it via 911, perfectly acceptable. You call 911 and you say, my son is acting like he's going to kill himself. He's saying he's going to walk into the woods. Here's where he went. Here's the car he took. And they have to respond. And it's a priority. It's a priority. It's not like if you have a fender bender without bodily injury, you may sit on the side of the road for 11 hours waiting for a cop because they're responding to things like this. And they didn't do that. And for that, I hold them accountable. You can call a welfare check on anybody in any state, not just Florida. That's true, Betty Smith. I just know here, it's a big thing. It's always in the news. That's why I said that. I didn't mean it that way. It's always in the news. And it's just like Baker Act, Baker Act, Baker Act. Because too many things, too many times people say, well, I thought they were a little depressed, but I couldn't stop them from walking out the door. No, you can't. But you can pick up the phone and call, and somebody is going to check with them, and then they're going to make the decision. It's off your hands. The police officer decides whether or not that person needs, and it's not a punishment. It's not. It's a mental health intervention. Let's take a time out. Let's see where we are. Let's see what's going on. Let's take a moment. Nothing's this bad. We can help you work it out. Whatever it is. You know, sometimes it's mental illness that's showing up. But I am sure that they did, Bren. I mean, I can't be 100% sure. She says, parents were from New York, not Florida. Did they know about the Baker Act? Like it was said before, most states have some form of this. Yes. And even if you had called, you guys call your doctor's office ever? When you call and like before anybody picks up the phone, you know, it's like, oh, let me think how this works. So Dr. Smith, it's like, thank you for calling Dr. Smith's office. If this is a medical emergency, please hang up and dial 911. And then they have the options that you choose, right? Make an appointment, reschedule, blah, blah, blah. Okay. If you call Ask a Nurse, if you call Poison Control, if you call any of these places and you tell somebody that you think that somebody around you is about to take their own life, they're going to tell you to hang up the phone and call 911, or they're going to patch you through. So Baker Act, Julie Bean, is kind of like, I think out in California, they call it a 1550. It's a mental health hold. It's that somebody is in a crisis in their life and they need that time out of life to be evaluated, whether it's because they're depressed and they say they're going to kill themselves, or they're having some sort of mental health episode, what have you. So generally speaking, it's a call that comes in from like a paramedic at the scene or somebody at the house saying, you know, somebody's not acting right. They say they want to die and they send somebody out there. That's right. It's a 5150. 5150. That's right. 1550. That's like the price of the water bottle. I get things confused. I hit mute buttons. That's why I need you guys. Don't leave me, please. I'll just be over here like talking to no one, telling you it's, you know, 2020 still, because I used to keep track of dates by other things and we don't write them now. So you guys knew. You speak my language. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate it. 5150. Yeah, so that's my thing with these parents, is that they had an opportunity and they didn't take it, and they didn't miss it. Like they, you know, it wasn't a situation where like, oh, you know, too much time had passed. No, they could have done that at any time. At any time, they could have picked up the phone and said, you know, our son is out there and we're worried. And 3 days later, and they would have sent officers out to look. So it's, to me, to judgmental me in the moment, there's absolutely no excuse. And that I won't change my mind on at all. I don't even care if your lawyer told you not to do it. I mean, it's your kid. It's your kid. So on that note, I think I'm going to wrap it up for the night. It's 9:50. I think I just did. Yeah, I just dropped the link to Cresha K. Easton's live on difficult research. She's going to do that collaboration with the L-Mom. It starts at 10. It's going to be really good. Let me tell you, they're going to go through the Daybell, all the Daybell documents, like maybe not read them all, but touch on them and answer questions on a lot of them. And for you guys, you know, for people that don't know, Cresha K. Easton, her uncle was Charles Vallow. So she's a family member. She's a victim. And the L-Mom is not only a friend of mine, but she does a spot on Web Sleuth's YouTube Live on Mondays with the L-Mom. And she's, I don't want to pigeonhole her, but one of her main focuses at this point in her YouTube career is explaining the religious inferences and importance in the Vallow Daybell case, cases like the Lafferty case. She is former LDS. She grew up in the religion. And so for myself and other people that talk about Vallow before the Alma was out on YouTube and accessible, and thank God she is, we were trying to do all this research, call people. It's hard to get information about the LDS Church explained to you in lay terms because just because of the nature of the church. And it just made it extremely overwhelming. And oftentimes, we thought something was symbolic and it wasn't, because we truly didn't understand the text. There is no replacement. I could have studied theology for 25 years, and specifically the LDS Church. And because the Alma was raised in it and lived it, and that was her life, I would have never surpassed her in knowledge. So she's your go-to person. So I really do encourage you to go over there. I want to thank my moderators this evening. Thank you, Ping, for being here. Thank you, the L Mom. Thank you. The Weird Mom. Thank you to the L Mom for being my friend. Thank you, the Weird Mom, for being my friend and my moderator as well. Thank you, Tambra. Thank you, Rain Dancer. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I plan to be back Tuesday at 5:30. That is the time I'm going to give you, Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There is a chance I'll pop in tomorrow night. I work a 14-hour day tomorrow, so we'll see how I feel. Sometimes I come home and I'm super ramped up and charged. And if something's going on, I'll want to talk about it. And I hope you want to talk about it with me. So, thank you all for the compliments. Thank you. Few things that I always say, and I'm going to ask for it again. If you like this video, if you give me a thumbs up, really appreciate it. I don't have Facebook groups. I have a Facebook page. I do mirror that pretty much to my Twitter account. That's where you're going to find me most. It's @CrimeSushi on Twitter. I have Instagram. I'm just True Crime Sushi on Instagram. Super, super easy. Over there, you're going to find, I post documents and things of that nature. But for the most part, that's like a more personal side of me. Like I'll drop like little things going on in my life. It's probably more of a fun place, more relaxed place where, Twitter, I'm just trying to give you what's going on. I try to mirror that on the YouTube community tab too, although sometimes I'll try to start a conversation there. I like to discuss these cases in the chat appropriate to the video. That way it's all in one place. I try my best to get back with everybody. My goal when I started this channel was to build a connection with all, with you, with the sushi crew, with all of the listeners. And I appreciate every single one of you. Please feel free to reach out to me in any way on any of those platforms. I love hearing from you. If you have questions, suggestions, corrective criticism, story ideas, things you want me to read, I get those all day long and I love them and I'm so thankful for them because I'm just one person. I'm just like you. That's all. The only difference is that I'm sitting up here like I'm the person that hosted the barbecue. That's it. Nothing special. So, keep that up. Thank you. Oh, Tracy L, you're so sweet. All right. Well, let's see. On that note, good night, Sushi Crew. I plan on seeing you 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. And unless something breaking happens, I may pop in here. But until then, have a good night. And I will see you on the floor.